What is going on, everybody? My name is On Football, and today I'll be bringing my AFC North preview. I did an AFC East preview yesterday, and I'll be running through the rest of the division previews this week and next week, so make sure you check those out. AFC East preview, like I said, already uploaded on my channel, so make sure you check that out when you have a chance. But let's hop into the AFC North. So let's start off with the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the most intriguing, probably the most intriguing team in the AFC North this year. The obviously lost to the Broncos in the playoffs last year after that big Bengals game. Antonio Brown obviously did not play in that game, so there's a lot to see as to what this Steelers team can do headed on forward, because a lot of people think that this team has Super Bowl potential. Their offense definitely has Super Bowl potential, but their defense still has obviously a lot of question marks. But let's start with their offense. Got the big three: Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. There's no denying how important these guys are to this team. Losing just one of them will break the whole system down. Le'Veon Bell, probably the best running back in the game. He's right up there. Antonio Brown, you could say the same thing. Could argue him for number one. Ben Roethlisberger, I think at this point in his career, you could definitely say he's a top 5 quarterback. Dealing with the loss of Martavis Bryant, though, is going to be a big problem for them. He is not a part of the big three, obviously, but he stretches that field, and he helped that offense a lot last year as well. Hopefully he can get back for the 2017 season, because I think he's got a lot of potential. Le'Veon Bell also suspended for 4 games. A lot of people think that won't mean a whole lot. D'Angelo Williams played very well in Le'Veon Bell's replacement last year. However, I think D'Angelo Williams, he's turning 33. D'Angelo Williams kind of surprised a lot of people last year with his performance, and I'm not sure if he can repeat what he did last year, because he's never really showed it when he was throughout his career with the Panthers. And I'd be surprised if this guy just kept on trucking along as he continues to get older and older. And that leads me to the next point. They also have one of the best offensive lines in the game, though, in my opinion. You can't have that good of an offense without a good offensive line, especially how good they made D'Angelo Williams look last year and how good they make Le'Veon Bell look week in and week out. But their defense, obviously, the big problem with this team. They had a fairly good run defense last year. I don't think a lot of people picked up on that because of how bad this defense was as a whole, but this run defense was actually very strong. The pass defense is really what hurt this team the most. Ross Cockrell, William Gay, they're two number 1 and number 2 cornerbacks. Obviously, this is a big problem for them. They addressed in the draft by drafting Artie Burns out of Miami in the first round. Artie Burns will not make an immediate impact either. This guy, he was not one of the top cornerbacks that they could have taken. However, there weren't a whole lot of options left on the board, so they kind of had to settle for Artie Burns. That just shows how badly they need a cornerback to help this secondary out. And James Harrison, the leader of this defense, is turning 38, if he's not 30 already. So we'll have to see what Harrison can do this year as he continues to get older. I have the Steelers finishing 10-6, though. I will not have them winning the division, but I have them securing a wild card spot. So, when the Steelers team gets in the dance, I don't think there is a team that can stop this offense. It's just going to come down, obviously, to what this defense can do. I think that's what everybody expects out of this team. Great offense, questionable defense, just like last year. Nothing really new with this team. Looking on to the Baltimore Ravens, have big question marks on their offense and defense. They were a big Super Bowl favorite last year. Sports Illustrated had them winning the Super Bowl last year, and they disappointed more than anybody could have imagined. I mean, their offense did not go well, and their defense did not go well. I thought they would have had one of the stronger defenses last year. However, it was pretty terrible, to put it bluntly. Looking at their offense, I think Flacco's starting to get worse and worse every year. I mean, I just do not see with this guy. I think calling this guy a lead at this point is kind of laughable to anybody. Steve Smith Sr., this guy, one of my favorite players to watch. He's getting older and older. This is going to be his last year. He's planning on retire last year, actually. However, he came back for this season, coming off a torn ACL. I don't think a lot of people can expect much of him However, you can never count Steve Smith out. If they can make a late season run or even a playoff run, you know this guy's going to show up. So he'll be a big piece of this team, and you need to make sure he can stay healthy. But the wide receiver core is a big problem all around. Obviously, they brought in Mike Wallace. I don't think anybody's a Mike Wallace fan nowadays. Brashad Perriman, we haven't seen it from him. Obviously, he was injured all of last year. I can't say I'm a big Brashad Perriman fan. I don't think he'll make a big impact this year, which will be his rookie year. Ronnie Stanley, they took with a 5th overall pick in the draft. I do not think he'll make a big immediate impact either. Also, another big question. I'd say every piece of their offense is a big question, so sorry if I keep repeating myself. But this offensive line was so strong going into last year, and then it kind of just fell apart throughout the season. Eugene Monroe retired this offseason, so they're really going to need a young guy like Ronnie Stanley to prove his worth in his rookie year, which I think will be very difficult. And like I said, the question marks keep on coming. Their running back position, Justin Forsett, kind of is proving everybody that he's kind of a one-hit wonder. He had that one nice season when he was 29 years old or so, but now that he's continuing to age, you're looking to hand the torch off to a guy like Kenneth Dixon, who I'm not sold on. I believe Buck Allen is still on the team. Not a big fan of his either, so we'll have to see who takes the reins of this running back position. I do not see a front runner right now, nor anybody that I'm interested in seeing as a running back one. They might just end up rolling with Forsett just because he's only got a track record. But looking at their defense, very disappointing last year. Terrell Suggs went down with an injury. C.J. Mosley continues to disappoint. They brought in Eric Weddle from the Chargers, an aging veteran as well. I don't think this Ravens defense should improve. I mean, they've got too much talent to do what they did last year once again, especially with Suggs coming back and bringing a guy like Weddle. I think this Ravens defense will definitely improve. I don't think that's a possibility that they're going to get any worse than they did last year. I have the Ravens finishing 7-9, obviously missing the playoffs once again. It's very sad. I like the Ravens. I mean, I think the NFL is at a good point when the Ravens are winning and in the playoffs. But I just don't see it this year. I mean, you look at their roster, especially on offense, and say that this team just doesn't have the talent to make a playoff run after how far they fell last year. And to all the people asking out there, John Harbaugh, I do not see potentially losing his job. He's just meant too much to this franchise to just let go after 2 bad seasons. He's got a little more of a cushion than some of the other guys. I think he will be kept around for a little while longer. Looking on the Cincinnati Bengals, the reigning AFC North champions, I think the mentality for Bengals fans going into the season is that you cannot look at it as the regular season as some big thing to celebrate if they go 12-4, something like that again, because obviously it's the playoffs that matter. Bengals fans know that more than anybody right now. Andy Dalton needs to stay healthy. Having A.J. McCarron start that playoff game last year was a disaster. He played very well, I'll give him that, especially for a guy that has only started a few games before. But another guy they need to start making sure he gets healthy is Tyler Eifert. He's probably not going to be ready for Week 1 this year, which is a big problem. This guy means so much to their offense. He showed it last year. He's a big figure as to why Andy Dalton had that breakout season last year. Looking at the rest of their offense, a big problem I see them having is their wide receiver position. They lost Mohamed Sanu and Marvin Jones. They replaced him with Brandon LaFell, who, by the way, sucks. Tyler Boyd, they took in the 2nd round out of Pittsburgh. A lot of analysts really like this guy. I watched a lot of tape on this guy as well. I'm not a big fan of his. I don't think he'll make an immediate impact, at least not in the first year. But in a few years, I'm sure he'll be as good as Sanu or Marvin Jones. Not huge on those guys either. But with Eifert out, you cannot rely on A.J. Green to carry this offense to what it was last year. But, their offensive line looks strong again, led by left tackle Andrew Whitworth, one of the best in the game. And their backfield with Jeremy Hill and Gio Bernard, a real thunder and lightning duo right there. If Jeremy Melton can return to his 2014 self, they got a really good backfield there, considering how good of a pass catcher Gio Bernard is. He's a great third down guy to have, one of the best in the game. Looking at their defense, they lost Reggie Nelson. They added Carlos Dansby, a veteran. I'm not a big fan of that switch. I know they don't play the same position or anything, but I think Reggie Nelson means a lot to this team, and Carlos Dansby is kind of an aging veteran who I don't think a lot of people can expect a lot from this season. But this defense consistent. I mean, they're consistent every single week and consistent considering they don't have like a standout guy, but they're good all around, good at every position. Geno Atkins is a star, I guess you could say, but secondary is strong, the linebackers are strong, defensive line is strong. But a big thing I noticed for the Bengals is their first 6 games, a very tough schedule. They go to the Jets, 2 Steelers versus Denver versus Miami, at Dallas, and at New England. So those are 4 very tough road games. And the games that they do play in Cincinnati versus Denver versus Miami, they could potentially lose one of those games, I'd say. I have them actually coming out of that tough 6-game stretch 4-2, which a lot of people might see as generous. I mean, this is a very tough schedule, I'd say. I think it wouldn't surprise me at all if they went 3-3 in that stretch, and if they want to get to that 12-4 spot and really try to get home field, that number 1 seed in the AFC, they are going to have to win at least 4 games in that series. But I have the Bengals finishing off 11-5, so they will not return to that 12-4 spot. I don't think they're going to get healthy enough. It actually wouldn't surprise me if they go 10-6, but I still have them winning this division. I think they're still a notch ahead of the Steelers. Both teams obviously have their problems, but moving on to the next team. Sorry if I just spoiled it to all you big Browns fans out there, but I do have the Bengals winning the division, not the Cleveland Browns. I'm sorry if that's a shocker to all of you guys, but Hugh Jackson, one of the biggest hires of the season. I really like this guy as a hire in the offseason. Him and Adam Gase were the 2 leading guys as to who everybody wanted to hire. I was kind of surprised when Hugh Jackson went to the Browns. I think he turned a lot of heads and said that this guy might be the guy that the Cleveland Browns organization needs to turn around the distraught that the Cleveland Browns has been over the past however long. Big thing I have with the Browns, even though it doesn't relate to this year particularly, they need to start adding better defensive pieces. Looking at their defense, it's just awful. I mean, they lost Carlos Dansby, obviously released him, but even with him on the team, this defense is just terrible. None of their first-round picks have worked out from defense. I'll get to that in a second. But first, let's start off with the offense. Obviously, the biggest question mark going to the Browns training camp is RG3. We'll have to see what this guy can do. Obviously, he has that. Everybody knows who RG3 is. Basically, had that big rookie year and has been very quiet since then. Did not play at all last year. So there's a lot of different speculation as to what RG3 will be putting up this year. Apparently, he's looked pretty good in training camp. Good enough to win the quarterback 1 starting job at least. So it'll be very intriguing to see what he does. I don't expect him to put up great numbers. I think he'll be at the bottom 50% of the NFL starting quarterbacks, definitely, at least to start the year. But I think he'll put up decent stats. I don't think he'll be the absolute tragedy that he was a couple of years ago for the Redskins. A big problem, though, I have is the wide receiver spot. Josh Gordon, he doesn't come back to week 5. Gary Barnidge, he's not a wide receiver, he's a tight end. I don't think we'll be able to repeat what he did last year. He had a very good season. He's an aging veteran, so we'll have to see about him. They lost Travis Benjamin. I think he's an upgrade with their first-round pick, Corey Coleman. I'm not a big Corey Coleman fan either. Big fan of the draft. I watched a lot of tape on the first-round guys, and Corey Coleman didn't really stand out to me. He's obviously very fast, but also very short. I'm not sure If he can be that guy, I mean, he can stretch the field for sure, but outside of that, they're going to really need Josh Gordon to be his 2013 self, or they're going to be in trouble for the wide receiver position. A guy I'm looking forward to, though, is Duke Johnson. He's receiving high praise from Hugh Jackson throughout training camp. Hugh Jackson said this guy can be a all three downs running back, and that he's not just some pass catcher. That he is a very good all-around back. So we'll have to see about him. I was big on Duke Johnson coming out of college. He didn't really get his opportunities last year. So if Hugh Jackson really likes this guy, then we'll have to see what he can do. I'm very intrigued with that. But looking on their defense, like I said, this defense is just terrible. I mean, you can't name a good guy on this defense. A lot of people might say, oh, Joe Hayden. Well, Joe Hayden played terrible last year. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. He got burned over and over again. I don't know if he was hurt or what, but anybody that watched him can say that, yeah, he was not good. He was definitely not his old self. He drafted Emmanuel Ogbah out of Oklahoma State. I do not expect him to be an immediate impact. As a matter of fact, I wasn't a big fan of his watching his tape, so I don't think he'll be a big-time player or anything like that. The Justin Gilbert experiment starting to wash away. Same with Barkevius Mingo. So things are looking grim for this defense. Hopefully, they'll probably have a top 5 pick going into the next year's draft. Hopefully, they can take a star defensive player. They really do need one because this defense is just deteriorating, and their offense is still a question mark. I mean, you can't see anything good in the future with the Cleveland Browns. I've been going 4-12, and that I thought that was generous. I mean, I'd say that is the absolute limit is 4-12. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes 3-13, 2-14, and wind up with a top 3 pick in the draft. But yeah, that is my AFC North preview. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you comment down below what your opinions are. Very curious to find that out. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe. I'll be back with the AFC South either tomorrow or the next day. So once again, thank you all for watching, and until next time.